in the next few days after the devastating tornado that stories began to spread about the butterfly people. The butterfly people. Didn't you see the butterfly people?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been on a bit of a tornado hunt throughout YouTube. Every now and then I just hyper-focus on some sort of topic and it just encapsulates my mind for like the next 3 to 5 months of my life. One tornado in particular that I have been really interested in is known as the Joplin, Missouri tornado. It's known for being like the deadliest tornado probably since like the 1950s and was the single-handed most expensive tornado in all of American history. So while I was browsing around tornado footage, I came across something called the mysterious butterfly people of Joplin. Did the butterfly people save them? Well, if the butterfly people did save them, they did a pretty awful job given that 161 people lost their lives in this event. You know, I can't knock the skepticism. I can't help but be just a little bit curious as to what kind of absurdity that could be. So yeah, we're gonna be taking a look at a video about, I guess, butterfly people. I don't really know how to properly title such a thing. So before we hop in, feel free to drop a like and subscribe down below if you enjoy the content, and as always, you smell really nice.
After the devastating tornado, stories began to spread about the butterfly people. On May 22nd, 2011, the T5 tornado that ripped through Joplin, Missouri, destroyed entire neighborhoods. Thousands of people were injured, and 161 people lost their lives. Butterfly people.
Yeah, I can see how much you really care about that, how just heartfelt you are in saying that, given that you're reading it out like it's a bedtime story, like little Timmy wouldn't go to bed, so it's like, oh, wrap yourself up. Have you heard of the spooky Joplin tornado? Ooh, so many people lost their lives, it's so spooky. Yeah, it's called a tragedy. Why you gotta talk to me like you're reading like a fairy tale at like a reading circle at school? I'm not 2 years old.
What was more shocking though were the stories that began to pour in from children claiming that they and their families were protected by something more than just sheer luck. They claimed that they were saved by the butterfly people. In fact, children from all over Joplin claimed to see butterfly people that kept them calm or protected them during the storm.
Children from all over Joplin came forward. They were rushing, heading straight to the newspaper presses. I've got a hot story. I was about to have a semi-truck land on me when a butterfly person whipped around and threw it right out and winked at me, snapped his finger and said, "Hey, you're alright, kid," before flying off and leaving 50 cents under my pillow. What the f are you talking about? There are absolutely no sources in this entire video.
Some even said that they saw these beings carrying people through the sky. Others reported seeing strange white light. These butterfly people were described plainly to be people with wings.
So there were reports of people flying through the sky in a tornado. That really...
Many stories circulated about the butterfly people in the months after the tornado. Even skeptics were really unsure of what to actually think of these stories. We may never know what really happened. The first story involves a young girl, only 3 or 4 years old, who was in the car with her mother when the tornado began to come near them. In a panic, with the tornado coming closer and with no time to reach shelter in nearby houses, they decided to flee their car. A few moments later, the mother watched the 200-mile-per-hour winds pick up their car and fling it towards them. However, a couple moments later, the tornado had passed and there had never been an impact. Her daughter then looks at her and says, "Weren't they pretty?"
So you're telling me that you ran out of your car, which, I mean, I guess I can understand that because the cars, they can become toys. This is what a car looks like when it really tries to go one-on-one with a tornado. It's not a beautiful sight. But you're telling me you were close enough to a tornado that it managed to just trick shot it at you and then a butterfly person threw it away? Even if it picked up the car, it could have gone anywhere. It's almost like it's a massive funnel that can go hundreds of feet up in the air and throw it literally anywhere. It's got 360-degree rotation. It's not a sentient thing. It doesn't have a vendetta against you. Also being like, yeah, I saw the butterfly people flying through the air saving people. Well, apparently these people were swept so high up into the air, and then a butterfly person just brought them back down, was like, hey, dude, sorry about that. That's pretty spooky. None of those people came forward?
Another story was told by 2 cousins, Lage, 14, and Mason, 10. After the tornado, Lage was pulled from the rubble of what used to be a hardware store. Mason narrowly survived after getting hit with a piece of metal debris that pierced her body. The two cousins were in their grandparents' truck when the tornado hit. The truck was picked up by the winds and tossed over 300 feet across a parking lot. Lage was thrown out of the truck and Mason was pinned inside. Mason describes feeling a hand on her shoulder as she was laying in the truck, but when she opened her eyes, she instead saw two butterfly people, one brunette and one blonde. And the little girl claims that she wasn't even afraid.
That just sounds like a child trying to mentally interpret the rescue. I mean, according to her, she says, oh, they were thrown 300 feet and had shrapnel in them.
Because the butterfly people were sitting in the car with them. For some reason, these mysterious creatures seem to have only been seen by children. As time went on after the tornado, was it really possible that butterfly people, mysterious creatures, had saved people that day? And if so, what made them come out during this storm and not other large storms or tornadoes? Again, the truth may never be known.
And that's also a wonderful question that you bring up. Oh, well, why did the butterfly people show up to this storm and not other storms? Let's say these are divine, benevolent creatures that came down to save people. What about the other 161 people, which included children, by the way? Why did these specific children get to just survive? And you're trying to spin some story that, oh, these beautiful little safe butterfly people came down and they protected and they were so warm. I'm sorry, but again, that's just a massive insult. Let's take a YouTuber who passed away in the storm, which is actually exactly how I ended up coming onto this storm and becoming such an interesting topic for me. A YouTuber by the name of Will Norton. He ran a small, I guess kind of like personal blog type channel. Really good kid all around from what I can find. Just really nice guy. Goofy kid with a camera. Graduated that day. Final tweet saying, I graduate today. Heads home and is the first person to be killed by the tornado. Is quite literally sucked out of the sunroof of his car and thrown into a pond. Where were the butterfly people there? What about any of these kids who passed away in the storm? Or any of the people who passed away in, like, say, the massive nursing home that collapsed? A lot of people, they'll just turn around and say, the counter argument is that, well, it was just their time to go. And we're talking about a story with no credible sources or anything like that, and we're spinning it around, adding suspense music and which I hate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed today's video, feel free to drop a like and subscribe down below. Also, don't go and harassing these people. It's just extremely lame. I hope you all are doing absolutely well. I'm extremely tired. Y'all take it easy as always. Stay amazing, and I'll see you around.